I am the divisional CTO for our payments and merchant services businesses at Deluxe. A little bit about myself. So I think of myself as a technology and an engineer. Been doing this for over 20 years in widely different verticals. In my current role, I lead the transformation of Deluxe into a trusted payments and a data platform and technology company. So before I get into our Deluxe story, show of hands, how many of you have heard of Deluxe? Chris, you don't count. That's great. That was more number than I thought it would be. But when I was first approached by Deluxe, I didn't know much about Deluxe. This was about 3 years ago. And Deluxe has been around for 108 years. That was just mind-blowing for me when I first heard about that. And it's been helping transform businesses for 100 years. I would be remiss if I don't tell you guys the story of how Deluxe came into being. It's really a fantastic story. Our founder, J.R. Hotchkiss, in 1914, 1915, saw that there was a problem. People were unable to get paid or pay. It was really hard. So he took this problem, I guess he fell in love with the problem, and then he said, let me go to my father-in-law and ask him for some investment. So his father-in-law ends up giving him $300. This is 1914, of course. I wish my father-in-law was that good, because I got all of these ideas that never got investments. But he got this $300. He went ahead and invented what was the personal checkbook, or personalized checkbook that could be used both by businesses and by individuals. The checkbook really revolutionized payments for about 7 decades before other things came into play. The reason for this story is not to tell you guys to go back and write more checks. Please don't. Although we are a check company, part of it, but we're really into payments, so use your Venmos, your PayPal, your Apple Pay. Those are the right ways to make the payments. But it was really the innovation and the ingenuity. There is a reason why Deluxe has been around for this long. But today, really, we are a leading provider of payments, data, products, and also platform services. We process about $3 trillion in payments on an annual basis. That is probably about 5 or 6% of the GDP. We serve about 4 million in small and medium-sized businesses, and we partner and serve about 4,000 financial institutions. We were ranked the 11th most trustworthy financial services company in America 2 years in a row. So when I first joined Deluxe, one of the things, like I said, that blew my mind was it had been here for such a long time. There aren't many companies that can come back and say, hey, I've been here 100 years. So there is always the part that, hey, why did this company survive for this long? So in my opinion, one of the pieces, it's definitely the product, and you're solving a problem for a customer, so they're coming back to you. But in my mind, one of the most important pieces to it is the trust. The reason why I want to do business with you, I want to come back, and I want to use your services beyond the value is that I trust you. And I believe that is the reason why Deluxe continues to thrive and survive for this long. So what I'm going to talk a little bit about is our journeys. So 2016, 2015, Deluxe was already this trustworthy financial services company. But really the leadership at that point of time was like, hey, the whole world is going digital, right? What does that mean for us? How can we become this digital company? So the obvious way that they decided that this would be a good idea to become digital was to go off and do a whole bunch of acquisitions. So Deluxe did about 50 acquisitions in 4 years, doing a poor job of integrating, but it was a hodgepodge. The idea was we got all of these digital assets, so we must be digital now. But that really did not work. So what happened was, from a technology landscape, what you ended up getting was about 30 different products, 30 different stacks, different languages, frameworks, databases, all kinds of things, different tools. And I think 2015 was the time when the cloud was really taking off, right? There was the hockey stick time. So that's when the leadership was also like, hey, how do I make sure I become this cloud native player here while I'm digital? So it was a lot going on at that point in time. So come 2020, there is a change in leadership at Deluxe. I ended up joining Deluxe in about 2021. And one of the first things that we decided as a team, as a leadership team, is to go back and say, really, based on our collective experience, what does it really mean to be digital first? And then the other big piece is, it's not just about being digital first. Our foundation was also the trust piece of it, right? So what does the two things combined together mean? How do we put this together? So we came back with about 4 different points and matching it back to the trust piece of it. There was much more that we put together, but really these were the 4 from a trust perspective. So one of the things that we came to realize was that, hey, everything when you say digital first, every one of your touch points is digital. So it's APIs, it is SDKs, it is some sort of user experience. It's really code that you're building. So if you're not continuously scanning, testing, validating for security vulnerabilities, you are not going to be able to get that trust. Similarly, speed and agility, we all know we need speed and agility. But speed and agility in the digital paradigm is different. It means that you need that real-time feedback. As you're putting that code in, it's not just getting the value and solving the problems from a customer perspective, but it's also making sure that while you're doing that and pushing that out quickly, you're not introducing any vulnerabilities. Transparency, in my mind, is one of the cornerstones from a trust perspective. Like I said, we serve FIs, financial institutions, about 4,000 of them. That's a highly regulated industry. As a part of our association, we get audited probably about 200 times a year. And we have the FFEIC, we have the CFPB. I've got an alphabet soup of auditors who want to come in and see what are we doing. Right. So for us, it's really important from a customer trust perspective to really come back and reveal what is our posture and really what is our practices. So having that reporting was always important, but if I have to go through 200 audits, that's the only thing that my teams are going to be doing. So really, how can we automate that and make sure we get that reporting out there, be transparent, because really there's nothing to hide. We want to make sure you understand where we stand. The last but not least is really proactive anticipation. We heard this from multiple speakers, right? 0-day vulnerabilities. It's not a will this happen, it's a when will this happen. So when this happens, we are ready. We're ready to mitigate. We are ready to react. We're going back and talking to our customers and saying, see, we are ready. We have the readiness. We are able to go back and reinforce our reputation, and we are able to go back and react quickly. So those were some of the fundamental pieces that, as a team, we took a step back and said, fellow Deluxers, this is what we mean by being a digital-first company and making sure we earn trust. So once we went through that, the next thing was like, how do we get there? So when we looked at all of the pieces, the digital first and then the trust piece of it, when you look at the trust piece, a lot of it looks like your shift left strategy, right? You want to shift left. You want to make sure you're automating, you're getting that feedback as soon as possible so that you're able to move there quickly. So when we were going through this journey, this was late 2021, we were using Jenkins and a whole bunch of different CI/CD platforms. The challenges that we had was we really couldn't move fast enough. There was too much code to be written. There was too much to be done. Templatizing was a challenge. So ultimately, we went back to the market to say, hey, who are some of the providers? So we decided to go with Harness. Couple of things that were really compelling for us was the fact that we could choose or plug in the modules or the capabilities that we wanted to go forward with, and also bring in some of the other third-party integrations that we already had today into the pipeline. And then the best part was we were calling this as the obsess over basics pipeline, which was we wanted a CI, we wanted a CD, and we wanted STO. Because those were really critical for us as we were going to solve our customers' problems. So May 2022, we started down the evaluation path. About November 2022, December 2022, we had about 1/3 of our products on the obsess over basics pipeline. And by the end of 2023, I think we will be about 80% there. This is a view of what our security pipeline looks like today. We've got multiple scanning tools, including your Sonar Cube, your X-ray, and also a SAST and a DAST as a part of this pipeline. One of the things that STO really helped us in was reduce the noise. I think you heard Monish talk about that before. The deduplication really helped us because what that did was if you had 170 that you were supposed to look at, after deduplication, it's down to 9 or 10. It really helps with my developer experience. You don't have to wade through all of this noise before you can get to what really needs to be fixed. The other things was, of course, it was all the tracking and fixing of the issues. Like I said, that was really easy. Here are some real numbers from our perspective. So I know I mentioned the 170 issues that we had. We kind of boiled that down to about 9 after all of the deduplication was complete. And that was our experience pretty much across multiple of our products that we had, at least the ones that had been there for some time. The newer ones, of course, having this SAST and having this STO in place helped us remediate this much faster. So where do we go? Oh, sorry, before going there, what's the Harness impact that we have? So overall, putting the CI and the CD in place, we used to have CD through Jenkins, but generally putting the CI and CD in place, taking some of the time that our operations and implementation teams used in some of our products, which used to take about 3 weeks, 4 weeks to set up, we were able to bring that down to about 30 to 45 minutes, which was a huge saving, which also made sure that we could redeploy our resources, our engineers, into something that is more valuable from both their perspective and our perspective. And of course, from an STO perspective, you saw some of the numbers that we were looking at. So a huge impact from that perspective. So where do we go from there? We've already got the STO in place. Like I mentioned, we're a highly regulated, or by association, we're regulated. And because we are there, this hasn't been a request that's come in yet, but I know where we're going is, hey, what is your software bill of materials list? Tell me what you're deploying. When the next, when the next vulnerability happens, log4j happens, something like log4j happens, are you ready? What are you going to do? So going down the SSCA path, or the software supply chain assurance path, is something that we are evaluating with the Harness team. The SBOMs, and then the ability to really monitor the artifacts, and just have the SBOMs so that we know when the next vulnerability hits, where are some of these open source components, which releases have they gone with, which one should we really focus on to remediate, becomes a lot easier. I do remember when the log4j had hit, it was about 2 to 3 days of 24-hour straight work from our engineering teams to even figure out what were all the different places that we could have a potential impact. So this will really help us in terms of saving that time. As far as the modern software delivery platform goes, there was a lot of conversation on developer experience. When we talked about where do we want to be from a digital-first company, one of the important things that we had highlighted was, hey, customer experience, customer first is important. But there was another critical aspect to it, which is your employee experience. If we're not going to take care of your employee experience, it is not going to translate into a good customer experience. My firm belief is if we make our employees, we give them the right tools to take care of problems, they will take care of our customer experiences. And at Deluxe, a majority of our employees are engineers. So going down the let's create a seamless, a smoother developer experience is definitely something that we are looking at to see how we can make that better. Besides that, as we continue to shift left, and then even on the right side as we get this data, because we have monitoring tools, we have a lot of this data that we collect today, but it doesn't come together in a single pane of glass. So the idea for us is how can we bring all of this together so that, again, from a developer experience, when we have the next problem, the next production issue, or something goes wrong, you're able to troubleshoot and get to the real problem as soon as possible. So there is less frustration, there is less long hours to get to what the solution should be. Well, in conclusion, from a Deluxe's digital first, we are on that journey. We've made the pivots. We understand that, of course, being digital first is it's not a destination, it's just a point in time. So today you are there, but tomorrow you're going to have to continue to move. It's the same thing with trust. It has to be earned every day. It has to be earned with every interaction that we have with our customers. So we're not going to take that for granted. We're going to continue to move forward. And as we continue to move forward in that, the Harness delivery platform is going to be a big player for us. It's going to be a big partnership. So I really want to thank the Harness team for their partnership. And we will continue going down this path. Thank you.